Hello and welcome back to the Baggies Podcast YouTube channel, where of course we're giving you all the latest news, views and opinions on all things Albion. We're back again today for another match preview video. It's West Bromwich Albion versus Millwall on Saturday at the Den at 3 o'clock in the EFL Championship. Back again today to talk obviously about that game, another match preview, and I'm not really sure why I'm doing it, to be honest. I really did have several second thoughts about not doing a video about this game. But yeah, life goes on. As much as Albion haven't been giving anybody any joy at the moment, we're here to talk about West Bromwich Albion. Millwall will be taking a look through both sides, stats, league positions, predicted lineups, a bit of analysis for both sides, and also a predicted scoreline at the end. But we'll be chatting all through that game. But before we get into it, make sure you subscribe to the Baggies Podcast YouTube channel for all things Albion. If you want to get all the latest Albion content, of course, there's a potential new transfer coming over the next few hours, so be sure to subscribe. We'll get into a little bit about that later in the video, but make sure you subscribe and we can try and talk that through when that move happens with a new video. But yeah, be sure to subscribe. Nearly 1,000 subscribers. Think about 20 to go now, so hit that subscribe button and let's get straight into this match preview for West Bromwich Albion versus Millwall. Let's crack on then. Millwall versus West Bromwich Albion. Let's start with the opposition, the host for this game, obviously hosting us at the Den tomorrow afternoon. It's Millwall. Of course, we played them already this season. I've actually written that we've lost the game, but we actually drew it 1-1 as we saw last time when we hosted Millwall at the Hawthorns earlier in the season. But Millwall 15th in the EFL Championship, of course, the second time in a row that we've played a side that were 15th. Obviously, Preston were 15th at the start of our game, but obviously we helped them elevate themselves up the table. But yeah, lost the last 4 games. Millwall not been great of late. Obviously, just a few weeks ago, I think they were joint 6th in the division, and now all of a sudden they're sort of in a bit of a sliding slope down the table. But yeah, they're managed by Gary Rowett. Sorry, I think he former Birmingham City manager, if I remember rightly. Possibly a spell at Derby. If I haven't done 100% into my research, but that's sort of what I remember him from, to be honest. Their top scorer is Tom Bradshaw, of course, former Walsall man for the local Albion fans amongst you. Has scored 7 goals so far this season and has been a real threat for them up front. Yeah, he's a really good player and showed that at Walsall quite often. But yeah, obviously getting the move to Millwall and showing a lot of promise up front and showing a lot of ability in their front line and grabbing some goals whilst he's at it. I think he put 2 past me on Football Manager the other day, so if that's an omen for what's to come, I'm really not looking forward to the game. But yeah, it was actually a 5-4 win against Millwall, but I will take that every day of the week, to be honest. Obviously, we'll talk about West Bromwich a bit and the managerial situation, but Jed Wallace is another player to look out for Millwall. 6 assists so far, their top assister. Done a really good job for Millwall, and another player that could potentially be on the move or potentially looking for another club, because he's excelled over the past few years at Championship level. Remember when we were in the Championship with Bilic, he was incredible, Jed Wallace, and scored so many goals, got so many assists. I think he was challenging Pereira for assists in the league, which was a big achievement for a player to be challenging Pereira, who was obviously fantastic that season. Millwall, as I said, 15th in the league, in a bit of a slippery slope down the league after being quite high up in the division earlier on in the season. Blackpool just above them with 36 points, with Bristol City just below them on 33 points. Their league record looks like this for Millwall: 26 games played, 8 wins, 9 draws, 9 losses, 27 goals scored and 29 goals conceded. And as I said, 33 points for Millwall so far this season. Now, the interesting thing I found about them is that there's actually no stat area that they're in the top 6 for. At the stat areas that I take a look at on my stat referencing websites, there's actually no stat area that they're in the top 6 for. They are an average sort of side. They've not particularly excelling in one area, but expect them obviously to be physical. They've got that sort of fear at the Den, and they've got the sort of off the pitch things. There's plenty of stuff for Millwall to cling on to. They've got a lot of physicality, good from set pieces. Several of their defenders grabbing goals this season, but they've just got that fear factor. Really, you go to Millwall, you play Millwall, and you go into the Den, and it's quite a cagey experience. You've got a lot of physicality. It's a place where teams don't want to play, and that's exactly, I think, what Ishmael tried to implement at Albion. But we're not that sort of club, so I'm not really sure why he was trying to do that. But they don't top it. They don't sit in the top 6 for any stat area so far this season. So there's nothing really I could pick out. They had quite a few clean sheets in comparison to the rest of the league, but they certainly did cause us some issues at home last time out. Obviously, they were very physical in that game. Can't remember exactly how that went. To be honest, if I might have to have a little flick up and take a peek at what that game went like. I genuinely I just remember the traffic. I think if you saw the vlog, that's the first time I've missed kickoff for possibly since I've started going to the Albion. Obviously, I've been a season ticket holder for I think 14 years or so now. So 13 maybe years I think. So it's the first time I missed kickoff really from that game with Millwall. So yeah, that was the awful traffic game, and I don't remember that particularly fondly, but. Life goes on, but yeah, Millwall, that game was a Carl Bartley goal, I think, opened the scoring, and then an instant reply from a set piece. By the looks of things, not a game that you'd really sits long in the memory, to be honest. But it's nice to see that the lineup still hasn't changed since then. Really, it's exactly the same and exactly the same formation. Despite the fact at the time I think we were flying high in the division. But yeah, Millwall's home form, not great either. 17th in the league. I said about that fear factor, it hasn't been particularly fearful so far this season. 12 games played, 5 wins, 4 draws and 3 losses at home, along with 14 goals scored and 12 conceded. 19 points away from home. At home, sorry. I predicted a lineup. I've sort of drawn one up from what I've expected of recent games. I mean, a familiar face for Millwall at the moment is Oliver Berg, of course. Remember signing him from RB Leipzig for a sizable sum. Went to Sheffield United and is now on loan at Millwall. Could make his first full debut really for the club, and his home debut indeed. I'm going to go for Bielkowski in goal. Obviously, a really decent Championship standard goalkeeper. I think one of the better players in the goalkeeping position in the division, with a back 3 of Sean Hutchinson, Jake Cooper, Murray Wallace, and then a left wing back. I'll go for Scott Malone, formerly of Huddersfield, if I remember rightly. Then McNamara in the right wing back position, with a midfield 3 of Clyson-Beld, George Evans and Billy Mitchell, and then a front 2 of Mason Bennett and Benik Afobe, of course, formerly of Wolves and Stoke. Benik Afobe. I'm not sure about Tom Bradshaw, why he hasn't been starting recently, but that just might be because I haven't dived too deep into Millwall. But yeah, I don't think Tom Bradshaw's been starting of late. Maybe that's an injury issue that I haven't quite worked out yet. Apparently it is. Apparently he's back in late April, so that's going to be a big miss for them. But yeah, hopefully not going to hinder Albion really in their game plan. But obviously Millwall are going to be a physical side, and Albion have to compete with them. We're 5th in the Championship at the moment. 3 wins in 13 games is not good enough. At all for Albion. I said it in the matchday vlog. I'm sure a lot of you could tell I was really deflated after that game, and I saw a side and an Albion side an Albion performance that I don't ever want to see again, and I haven't seen for some time really in my time supporting the club. Ishmael, I think, is under serious pressure. I thought he was going. I believed he was going to be sacked after that game. I did believe it. I've seen so many people say that it was going to happen, but obviously it hasn't come to fruition and might come after the Millwall game. Still, you don't know. But Ishmael is under serious pressure. It's an appalling first home loss of the season. Obviously, losing our unbeaten record against Preston 2-0. A really, really awful performance. Dire, devoid of any quality or ideas. And I was absolutely appalled to watch that game in the stadium. And obviously, you guys will have caught the matchday vlog. If you haven't already, check it out, because there was so much of a toxic atmosphere at the Hawthorns, and rightly so. That performance was not good enough. The booing was, I think, justified. I wouldn't boo myself. I'm not that sort of person. I don't like to really get on the players' back. I'm not the sort of person who shouts at them from the stands and gives them a load of abuse. I may give it perhaps to the opposition players, but certainly not our club's own players. The booing was justified in my opinion. I wouldn't boo myself, but I certainly can gather why there was booing at half time and full time. Remarkably, only 7 points still away from the automatic promotion spot. It's amazing how we're actually still in this race, and potentially still in it. The league is so poor, and even with performances like that one against Preston, we're still in and around that area in fifth, only 7 points away from Blackburn. But however, a loss against Millwall and a win, well, I suppose a failure to win potentially, but a loss against Millwall and a win for Nottingham Forest will see us drop out of the playoff positions, which is particularly interesting. Our away form is pretty shocking, 10th in the league for that. 14 games played, 4 wins, 4 draws and 6 losses, 13 scored, 14 conceded and 16 points on the board. So that's actually worse than Millwall's home form. So that's very interesting. Our predicted 11, I think he's just going to keep things the same. I wouldn't. I think that those players, really have let him down in a way that, in their performances at times this season, and I think that their attitudes haven't been spot on, and I think that he'd be wise to bring in some different faces, even if they're from the academy, to change things around, because at the moment, this side is not getting the results that Ishmael will want, and if he is going to stay in the job, which I think he probably will now, he needs to change things around, and he needs to move things on. Obviously, the signing of Andy Carroll is imminent. Not sure about what to make of that one myself. Of course, he's probably the best cheap option out there, in my opinion, but he's certainly not the guy that you'd want, instead of Daryl DK. I was hoping for a younger, fresher face, but could do a job if given the support, and hopefully doesn't get injured. But obviously there'll be a video specifically on that when that transfer happens, which is likely to be at some point today as well. Tomorrow lineup, this is what I think he's going to go for. Button in goal, Kipre, Bartley, Matt Clark across the back three. Darnell Furlong, right wing back, a centre midfield partnership of Livermore and Mowat. Left wing back, Connor Townsend. Right wing, Grady Dean Garner. In the middle, Callum Robinson, and left wing, Carlan Grant. I think that's what he'll go for. I don't think that's necessarily what he should go for. But yeah, I just really am not positive about this one. Of course, I'll watch it. Of course, I'll get the stream on for that. But I'm not confident about a result. I think that we're going to draw this game 0-0, and I think it's going to be just as dire as perhaps the Preston game. But, this is from somebody I love to be positive about the Albion. I'm sure you see from the podcast, the vlogs, I do like to keep a positive head on. And at the moment, I just can't after that performance against Preston in midweek and, the signing of Andy Carroll. It's always likely that he was going to come to us, to be honest. It's just remarkable how it's taken this long for him to come when he's possibly, coming to the end of his career. But that's what I think about the game. Make sure you comment your thoughts. Make sure you comment your predictions, your scores, and just drop me your thoughts on Albion at the moment. Do you think Valérien Ismaël should stay, or do you think he should go? Drop your comment down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Make sure you subscribe if you're new. Of course, 1,000 subscribers is well within reach, and you could help brighten up this Albion fans' day by helping me get there. So be sure to click subscribe, and I'll see you in the next match preview. And that's all for now. See you later. Goodbye.